Hey everyone, I decided I would show you how I go about setting up a palette. If you are recently purchased some paints and you want to know kind of how to organize them, organize them whatever way works best for you, of course. Oftentimes I buy the already pre-done palettes, which you might have done, and that's perfectly fabulous. That's what I generally work with for all of my illustration. But I decided to set up a new palette with some of my Daniel Smith watercolors, and whenever I get a new line I try to keep those all together within one palette so that I know how they're handling and how they're mixing. I know that they're all from one manufacturer, and so I know how they're treated and what's inside of them. Alright, so I started with just a really basic foldable, actually I got it started already, but it's just your basic palette that snaps open, that you can keep your colors in there. And I decided just to go and put down the warm, cool of each color on one side, and that's how I was going to organize this. So once I sort of figure out where I want my colors, then I'll just put a little dot. You can totally fill this and let it dry completely, and it'll be like having the caked ones. Or you can just go with a dot at a time. That's going to eventually dry, but I can reactivate it with water just like the caked ones. So I'm just going with a dot for now. See how I'm liking these paints and the organization, so that way I'm not married to it. So yeah, just by putting a little dot of that color onto the palette, I will be all set and ready to paint. And it doesn't take much. That's what's coming out. It initially comes out really fast, so I'm going to, should get a paper towel, but anyway, I'm going to wipe some of that off so that this won't dry on after and make it hard to open on the next time. I'll just pop that in there a little bit. Messy. Anyway, so much for a nice, neat, clean palette. But we're getting there. Alright, and finally I'm going to go with my reds. So I will tell you all the colors in just a second. I got some different ones this time. Red. Yeah, I feel like both my reds that I got are rather on the warm side, so I probably will be adding another red to that. But we'll see how they handle. This is the cooler. So we've got the warmer with the French ultramarine. It is cerulean blue for my cooler. I did the New Gamboge for the yellow. It has sort of an orangey tint to it, which I like. And then the Hansa yellow for the cooler. Then again, the warm for the red is quinacridone red. And then the Pyrrole, I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong, Pyrroline red is the cooler red, but I'm not sure, it's not as cool as I would like. So we'll see, might add something else into that. Okay, so once those are all in place, then I'm just for sake of having it, I'll have some titanium white on there. There's also Chinese white you can get as well. Put a little bit of that in there. Anytime you add white to your pigment, it is going to make it a lot more opaque. This has an opacity of semi-opaque for this titanium white, whereas the Chinese white is more opaque. Anyway, that's there. If I add that to any of my colors, I'll make a tint of it, but it'll also make it a lot more opaque and treat it kind of more like a gouache in a way. So use that sparingly, I mean, depending on your preferences. The other thing I want to put into the palette in my neutrals is this neutral tint. And I didn't suggest it in the buying, because you don't need it, but if you're wanting to darken colors, this is one I'm going to be experimenting with a little bit this time because I haven't really used it, but it does make a color darker without really affecting the hue. So it's Neutral Tint by Daniel Smith. It's gotten really good reviews, so we will play with it a little bit and see what we think. And then the last was just a for fun one. It's called Moon Glow. It's supposed to have some really beautiful effects, and so another playing one. So usually when I go to my candy store, art store, supply store, I end up with one or two little surprise things, and that's what it was for today. So I've got the palette all set up and organized. I've got some nice mixing areas. What I like about this palette, I can of course increase my colors, or even as I blend, if I want a little area of greens or oranges or whatever, I can have lots of little places where I make pools of color that I'll be able to go back to and use again and again. And then when I'm all finished, of course, once it dries, you would want to leave this so you're not like dumping over a bunch of water onto water. But once this lays flat, it's all dry, and you can close it up and take it with you. So there's that. I hope this helps.